Hello and welcome again to the More Than Muscle podcast. You've made a fantastic decision by tuning in this week, and this week is a very special episode. We're joined by our first guest, Katey Byrd. You're an Olympic weightlifting coach, aficionado, supremo. I'm trying to think of other hype man words I can use. Andy, Nat, feel free to join in at any point.
The bird.
I'm gonna initiate a ban already on Irish accents from you, Andy, for the rest of the episode. But Katey, how you doing? You alright?
Good, great, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm privileged.
Yeah,
to be your
you
first
are our
guest.
first guest. Welcome.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to get into a little bit about what Katey does and Olympic weightlifting itself and how that can be used to improve physique as well as training when you are young. So enjoy. So Katey, I've got a couple of questions for you. First of all, I was wondering about your training philosophy, what sort of approach you really take to weightlifting and training yourself. And then my second one is how well behaved are Andy and Nat in your weightlifting class?
Training. I feel like it's been a long time since I've trained because
You had an ankle
surgery. Yeah. But training philosophy when I'm in it is probably just being consistent with everything, all aspects of the training, like the training itself, your lifestyle in and around the training, how you eat, how you sleep, the whole lot. Just I think consistency within all of those things is probably my biggest.
And what sort of approach do you have as a coach then?
The same. I try to impart that as well as patience, probably, which you've probably.
I imagine you'll need a lot with Andy.
I
have it hosting this podcast because I have a lot of patience.
Well, you're probably feeling that now.
Yeah.
3 months in.
Yeah, so I've trained with Katey now for what, 3-4 months, something like that.
Yeah.
It's gone
April?
really,
April?
Yeah, start of April,
April.
I started training with Katey, and she's been training me through my weightlifting journey so far, and definitely.
She's been incredible.
Oh,
She flexes about it on the podcast every week.
She has a right to. She's been like a dream to coach, and she understands.
Katey can
it
come
all.
every week.
She still doesn't realise that it's a sport. She still thinks she's going to the gym. We were like, last week we had a question. We were like, so do you do sport or gym? And she was like, gym. We were like, you're a weightlifter.
There's always a moment within someone's like when I'm training them, and I'm like, you're a weightlifter now. You just did that.
It's
you're
official.
a weightlifter.
Yeah, I did one class with you last week, and I was like, well, graduated.
weightlifter.
Every single rep was a PB.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
And you didn't ring the bell once.
I should have done.
Max,
Yeah.
you should have rung
That was in
well.
Andy's dream gym. We've got a tambourine
Tambourine
behind us.
in our
When we played a little game kitting out our own dream gym, and Andy's was a tambourine to like shake every time we hit a PB.
Excellent.
I think it would suit you better.
It's less aggressive than a bell.
I think so. Yeah, exactly.
There's enough bells in our gym.
Behave yourself. Katey, I remember when we were chatting earlier, you said you'd won medals at the British, English and Irish weightlifting championships. So that's a big flex in itself. Again, I'm going to be your hype man for this entire podcast. So
I'm like the way you said Irish there was if the Irish was the
Irish.
like the biggest one.
yeah,
It's the smallest out of those three.
that's fine. A bit of hometown pride and all that, maybe.
Exactly,
That's why there's emphasis.
Oh, when I started weightlifting back home, the first national championships I went to, there was maybe 7 of us, if I can remember. It was like a totally different scene to my first British, let's say. It was like
nearly half of you are getting on the podium.
Yeah. Like chalk and cheese. It was the Irish one was in a sports hall with a couple of old fellas, you know, because that was what the sport was. It was like all these old guys who were passionate about it, who are now just old, and then.
But
like
for the record, being old, there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
But the sport is full of them. Yeah.
And that was what 8 years ago maybe, and it's like exploded since. But the British was bright lights, stage, dark curtains. You know, you're on the platform and you look out into the audience and you can't see anyone because you're just blinded by the lights. And it's like spotlights on you. It was totally different.
How do you feel when you're getting on that sort of stage then? When you feel people looking at it, does it put you off your game slightly?
It's weird. When I first, like before I got into it, I watched a comp and I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. Like everyone will be looking at me. But when I stood on the British platform, it was like, I'm here, I'm ready. Like and I'm totally not the person for the spotlight. So I was like surprised by how comfortable I felt there. So it was, and that's the feeling I think then that you chase when you're competing. It's like that. Everything I've done, I've prepared. I'm here. I'm ready to go, and this is the moment. So it's like it's weird because you don't see yourself being that person, but then when you get there, you're like,
fits like a glove. Yeah, absolutely. No. So you talking about that preparation? What sort of prep were you doing? How did your training look in terms of like whether you had any deload stuff?
Yeah.
What was your program looking like? How intense was it? Everything like that.
They're generally just weeks. Let's say you could do. It depends on like if you have qualifiers to make that comp, and if you could have a good solid 3 months, or you could have 8 weeks. Like it's hard when you have 8 weeks. You have to cram a lot in there, but ideally 12 weeks, and then you just recycle those weeks. Typically we'd build for 3 weeks and then back off and build again. But the week before, 2 weeks before, you're literally hanging on by a thread. You're crying for a day off, and then you get your massive deload where you plug in loads of power variants and you're just in the gym for as little as you can be to just get what you need done, and then by comp day you should feel like ready to go.
Just in general, like Andy, do you want to touch on like deloads for us? Because I feel like that's something I find it really tricky when it comes to when we're coaching clients. You get someone in and you tell them, okay, right, we're going for a little deload block here, and the disappointment they usually feel.
They're like, what?
It's I was lifting
I was
heavier.
just getting good.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not progressing.
Yeah.
I mean, typically we try and deload them every 3 weeks, but I think it's largely down to who's in front of you. Because like, if they're like real novice, there's so many ways you can deload. Like, so sometimes it's like it's not even a physiological thing. You'll just change the pattern for them because they're so unskilled. So I just think it needs to be in there, but what you do is dictated by what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's that. And also sometimes it's like just tricking them a little bit into it. They don't really need to know it's a deload because you get your response. It's like you just give them something different. Yeah. And then bring them back in.
We used to so when one of us was training towards a big comp, there was a group of us, but the whole group would then try and aim to peak towards that comp, even though they might be competing, but they'd all train. And some people mightn't even reach that 3 weeks. They wouldn't be able to sustain the intensity for 2. And some people, like there was times where we pushed it out to 4. Or last year there was weeks where I went 6, pushing. I probably could argue that was probably too much for me, but like Andy said, it just depends on who it is and what you're trying to achieve. But
I think it's mad when you got a comp. It's quite easy because you understand where you're going. But when you got general pop coming in, and there's just so many mad things that happen in their life, like they'll turn up pissed, or yesterday's work call was like mad, but they've got no real goal other than losing weight. They need to do it because they need to perform, but they don't see it.
They may accidentally deload just for the fact that they skip a session. They're
busy.
They don't turn up for a session. Exactly.
They had a hangover.
I think we just have to be super flexible with what we do with them, but have some sort of like wave in there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, while we're talking about being careful with people, I mean, Katey, you've not followed the standard rule when it comes to work of never working with children or animals, because you run an academy for, was it 9 to 16-year-olds?
Yeah.
So what's that like? How do you approach training people, especially with I think such a wide age range as well, 9-year-old versus a 16-year-old? How do you approach something like that?
It's so I technically don't run it. So it's a program at the gym that was established. Like I think that's where the whole gym actually came to be. Matt, the guy who owns it, he was passionate about training kids, and the academy was born. It runs from 9 to 16, and you're right, there's totally different needs and wants there, and you can get totally different, like you can have 9-year-olds who are so young and immature, and then you can have a really mature 9-year-old, and at the other end as well you can have the same, so you can have a 16-year-old who isn't mature. And this is both physically and mentally.
You could have a 23-year-old that's not very mature.
Still growing.
I had one last week in the weightlifting class.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot about that.
So yeah, there's a whole process to it, and there's a whole, like, I don't know if you've talked about like long-term development with youth athletes.
We briefly touched on it, talking about impact on growth plates and how it's got to be constantly developing as they're constantly developing.
So within the academy there is that pathway that we follow. They're initially introduced to the whole system on a one-to-one basis, so they get familiar with the whole process with the 3 hourly sessions with a coach, and then they enter into the process, and then they're assessed gradually and moved on to different programs depending on their progress. But it's quite like there is that, I feel like it's going, but that stigma around kids in the gym. I think you can just jump to a vision of this child trying to bench press or deadlift 100 kilos when in fact it's totally different to what we actually do. What we do is most of the time is not play with them, but
we don't admit to that while the mics are running.
Do we do that? Do we use that?
No, we're staying in.
That's
Lock
fine.
her up.
That can stay in. Lawyer her up.
Look her up.
I do have, for any listeners, I do have a DBS.
But yes, no.
It's games, it's fun, it's play with education around lifting weights and how lifting weights can be safe and why it's important to lift weights, and that's a big thing as well, that they get educated on why they're doing things and how they can help with. And most of the kids we actually get in that academy aren't necessarily athletic kids. They're more often than not the kids that aren't involved in sport, who don't want to play sport for whatever reason, and their parents just want to keep them active. And some of the times they're almost more athletic than the athletic kids.
Just athleticism can take many forms, I suppose.
And where else? What did you ask me? What was the other thing?
So just you talking about people being at different levels. I was just wondering about when it comes to having someone that looks like they're a really shining prospect. Do you ever have any pushy parents like trying to get kids to a certain standard, a certain level, and getting that trophy kid sort of mentality on?
You get parents who, I suppose everyone wants the best for their child. It comes from a good place, but their understanding of what success is or how it might look is do more work. Like, you've got to work hard, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to lift heavy weights in the gym, when it's totally different. So that's another role that I think we need to take, is educating parents and stakeholders about how that success might look and what you need to do to get there. And it's not just killing yourself in the gym. Like, you don't have to leave the gym in bits to have worked hard.
That's one of our Mythbusters episodes. Go back and listen to that.
It's crazy because you speak about having to educate them, their parents, and we train their parents, and they're like that as well.
They're always looking for that go hard or go home mentality, so you can quite quickly see where it goes down into
filters.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone needs educating to a degree, but the thing is, if you're a novice as an adult, if you're a novice as a child, you still need educating.
It's just because they want everything instant. Everyone wants things like bang.
More,
and that's where the patience comes in.
Game time. I thought I would lighten things up this week with a little bit of spice. So I thought we would do a gym variation of Shag, Marry, Kill.
Oh my.
Only you're not shagging or marrying anyone, okay? This is train partner and still kill. I kept that one in there. So you have to either train one of the people once a week. You have to be a gym partner, so train, however many times you want to train, 4 or 5 times a week with the other one as a partner, and you still get to kill one of them.
Okay.
So, I think we should probably come to a group consensus. I think that's the way we're going to work it out, rather than having individual answers. Okay. Otherwise, no one's going to remember who said what. So, group consensus, train, partner, kill. Started classic bodybuilding, The Rock, Arnie, and Terry Crews. What are we saying?
Who is Terry Crews?
Oh my god.
I don't know him either.
Am I?
He's a bodybuilder, is he?
I don't look at people.
He is. Have you ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No.
Have you ever seen White Chicks?
Yeah.
Yes.
The massive black guy in
Okay.
White Chicks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who plays the two chicks?
No. He's
the black guy.
He's the bodybuilder with that oils himself up and takes one of them out for dinner.
I know who you're talking about now. Yeah.
Oh, I
he
feel like
dances. He's like.
he does.
Whoo.
So what is it? Train. Do you want to train?
Training partner. Kill one of them.
I
assume you guys are killing Terry Crews.
Oh my god! I think
I would love to train them.
You got to train one of them.
Oh, which one? I'd love to train The Rock.
So we see Terry off.
Yeah. You kill. I don't know how you kill him. He's enormous.
The Rock or Arnie?
I'd love to train. Oh yeah, I forgot about Arnie.
You get to be a partner with one of them. So you
okay,
see one of them.
I'll be a partner with Arnie.
Oh.
Yeah, and train The Rock.
Train The Rock.
No, I'd partner up with The Rock.
He seems like more of a laugh, The Rock. He just lifts you up.
You train with them, come buddies.
Yeah, exactly. He gives you some of his Terramana tequila that he relentlessly plugs.
What are you saying?
I'm just old now, and you might just have a heart attack or something.
So you want to train it? So you want to
I'll have to tell him about long-term reversibility.
I can't move my arms.
I'll have to give him the reversibility principle.
Incredible. Okay, so yeah, maybe train Arnie because he may not be quite what he once was.
That's fine. Okay.
And we'll partner up with The Rock, and we'll kill Terry Crews because no one knows who he is apparently.
Sorry, Terry, if you're listening.
That's fine. I really hope Terry listens.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Next one. I hope you guys know who these people are. Otherwise, this game's going to be very long. So, train, partner, kill with Serena Williams, Anthony Joshua, or Cristiano Ronaldo.
I'm gonna kill off Cristiano. Sorry.
Okay. Why? Is it because he's just a bit of a dickhead?
Because I love Anthony Joshua, and Serena would be pretty class to train.
Yeah,
that's a really difficult one. I want to train them all.
I mean, who
need to kill
doesn't?
Kill one of them.
The whole point is it's not supposed to be easy. If I'm not laying it out for you, you got to make cuts here.
I would love to train Cristiano.
Yeah,
so I feel like
the football connection.
I just feel like maybe some of the stuff he's been shown in the past.
Good share.
Because he's in such bad shape, isn't he?
It's like the Usain Bolt one. It's like, do you really want to train him? You're probably just going to make him slower. Just leave him alone.
He's completed it, mate. He's completed fitness. So what? So we got someone wants to train.
Can I sit on the fence?
You can.
I'm gonna sit on the fence.
Yeah, you're gonna sit on the fence. Nat, where do you stand these three?
Serena
Williams, Joshua, Ronaldo.
I would probably.
Who are you gonna bin off?
I'd probably bin off Ronaldo.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Ronaldo's the bin mate popular.
Biggest athlete.
He wouldn't have us anyway.
Imagine.
No, he wouldn't, exactly.
Biggest
he
athlete
would train
following.
with us or be trained by us.
He's got the biggest following on social media of any athlete. We can have him on the podcast.
We talked about this several times. Validation is not social media following.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
So we're binning off him. Who are we training?
You got. I would personally want to train with Serena Williams.
I think
I wouldn't be training with Anthony Joshua.
She would just train me.
I wouldn't want to train. I wouldn't want Serena Williams to be my partner because she'd out squat me, and I'd feel bad about that.
I reckon it'd be ace to train her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is that a pun?
I would love.
Hey, that's genius. Okay, so I think we'll call it a tie between the other two, but we're just binning off Cristiano Ronaldo. Sadly, that's all it is.
Do you ever think you'd hear that? Bin off Cristiano.
I've got so many better options.
You never thought so. Exactly. So next three, I thought I'd give us. We change gears a little bit. Go away from our classic athletes and go with Mick Jagger, Freddie Mercury, and Elvis, but in his prime. So before he gained a few pounds.
Save Elvis.
Just in general.
Show him the way.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. So I would personally vote to train Elvis because want to get him in shape.
Yes.
I would train him and give him the I train him because my mum loves him.
Absolutely.
I think
we
train him.
could save
Save
Elvis.
I would,
him.
I
Okay,
think
nice.
let's save Elvis.
Save
let's
Elvis.
train Elvis.
Okay, right, and now we've got to have a
Mick
why
Jagger
is it
Mick
was
train-
Jagger
have
and
a heart
who?
attack.
Freddie Mercury.
Oh my.
Okay, so
I'm a
I
massive
would
Queen
train.
fan,
I would
so-
train with Freddie Mercury.
Yes. Absolutely. Also, you'd have some mental parties. I mean, you'd have
Yeah,
mental
Mick
parties
Jagger.
afterwards.
Mick Jagger wouldn't last the warm up.
He wouldn't know.
Imagine him doing that warm up we did yesterday with the legs over your head. And
He's
then
very flexible. I was going to say,
Spinal.
like, he's bendy. All right, fair enough. I think that was a pretty swift one. We save Elvis, we train with Freddie Mercury, and we've been off Mick Jagger.
Done.
Okay,
I'll train him in Graceland.
smooth. Lock it in. All right, we've got 2 more to go. Batman, Wonder Woman, or the Hulk?
Oh.
Change gears.
I would bin off the Hulk.
Because he'd just be a nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
good-
can
Restricted
imagine.
move. His mobility is
Yeah.
kind of shit.
Range of motion.
Can't even get his arms above his shoulders.
Exactly.
Constantly skipping leg day.
On the steroids.
I think the main issue
Always
is that
hugging the bench.
we're not going to have big enough bars. It's just like every
His
plate in
bench
the
press
gym.
would be
And
like
you never know what mood
fingers.
you're going to get the Hulk in.
That's
Mm.
true.
When
No,
they
exactly.
rip his toes
All right.
off in the gym.
Fair enough. So we're going to somehow, I don't know how we're going to do it, we're somehow going to try and kill the Hulk. Batman's a proper moody dickhead, so I don't know that I want to train with him on the regular.
Probably have baggage.
No, but
Yeah.
would
Robin
you
with
really
him.
want
How
to
you gonna-
train him?
You can't have a training partner with him because he's got Robin.
And he's
See?
got 2 jobs, so he'd
Yeah.
always be.
He's busy.
He'd
He's
always
always
be off.
sucking
He'd
off your sessions.
always be cancelling.
Yeah, I think I'd still have to train him so I could see him less, and I'd partner up
Okay,
with Wonder
let's
Woman.
train Batman,
Yeah.
and hopefully he just cancels his sessions.
He probably
You don't
will.
have to
Yeah.
see him.
You
Touch
just
wood.
get the Wayne Enterprise cash.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get that big money coming in. That's why we want him as a client.
And we'll train with Wonder Woman.
Bruce
Love
Wayne.
that. That's a smooth
Was
one.
that his name, Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Big
All right.
Bruce.
All right, gang. Last one. Again, I've just gone off the board with fictional characters, and I've gone with Bond, Rocky, or John Wick.
Okay, what Bond?
You know
And what Rocky?
That's the most important question. And the,
What Rocky?
Oh, all right. I should have thought this through better.
What?
Early
Sylvester
day Rocky.
Stallone?
Think about
No, you wish he said.
what?
There's Sylvester Stallone. They're all Sylvester
They're all
Stallone.
Sylvester
Well, what are
Stallone.
you talking about then? What
She doesn't watch
Rocky?
80s movies.
Oh no.
I do.
Ever.
I
No,
don't.
you don't.
His
Hang
wife.
on.
Adrian, right.
There are 5 Rockies.
God
I think
rest
there's
her
Oh, you
soul.
mean
There's a
like-
6.
Early Rockies.
Yeah, I mean like before Apollo Creed or after Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
Before Apollo Creed. So what's the
Regardless,
three people?
you can have Prime, whichever one you want. So whichever version of
Whichever.
Bond
Okay,
you
so
like best, you
Daniel
can have that
Craig.
one.
No, I'm training
unpopular, but okay, fair enough. Bond, Rocky, and John Wick is
I-
the third one.
I
So
don't know who
Keanu
John Wick
Reeves.
is.
Yeah,
Really?
see Keanu
Who's
Reeves.
John Wick? I only know
Keanu
Joe Wick.
Reeves.
I only
John
know
Wick.
Candle Wicks.
Candle Wicks.
For God's sake.
Love
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Who's John Wick?
Who's John
Did you
Wick?
guys not know?
He's
It's
Keanu
Keanu Reeves.
but
Keanu Reeves basically does his.
it's like Jack Reacher, is it?
Kind of like he's an assassin. Just basically, there are 3 films. He just absolutely beats the shit out of
Okay,
everyone
well I'm gonna
that
have
comes
to
in
bin
front of
him because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm training Rocky. Hey yo.
You guys need to seriously brush up. on
I
some
will
of this
train with
stuff.
Daniel Craig,
Obvious.
James Bond.
Yeah. You just want to see him on the regular, don't you?
Yeah. And sadly, I have
Pierce
to train.
Brosnan.
Oh no!
More like Sean Connery.
Oh yeah.
Cut me some slack.
Who's the new
You probably
James
end up in
Bond?
bed with them.
Yeah. Well, Max.
He would. He'd say 2 things to me. I'd just be like, "Oh well, I guess I'll just take my trousers off."
I have a good story about Sean Connery, but it's probably too rude for the podcast.
I'm very
No,
ready for
this
it.
is
I've
PG.
got a very rude Sean Connery
We
joke.
can cut it if you want.
We
No.
can, yes.
We won't cut it.
Is he,
Come on.
Sean Connery died, didn't he?
He did.
He did
yes,
recently.
exactly.
Okay, maybe I should
Is that what was
respect
rude?
the dead.
Maybe we'll leave it for this time. But if you want to head over to Locker 27 and find out this really rude Sean Connery story, then head over there and ask Katie.
Yeah.
So sports like Olympic weightlifting, amongst others, obviously focus predominantly on performance. And a lot of people come into the gym, they want to perform really well in their sport, but they also want the aesthetic benefit of training regularly. So when it comes to getting those sort of hybrid results, Katie, how do you feel about people using Olympic weightlifting as a method of, for instance, reducing body fat and building muscle?
I very rarely get people who want to train weightlifting who are in it for the aesthetics. Yeah, I don't know if you guys find that, but I suppose the process of, or the journey of your Olympic weightlifting will definitely change your body type and shape. Whether that's welcomed or not, I'm not sure, but it definitely it'll definitely change.
You'll be in a different shape, not necessarily the most aesthetic one that you're after, but you'll be in a different one.
But generally, people who come for weightlifting are more interested in the skill of weightlifting. Your body definitely changes. You get your lats get bigger, your traps get bigger, your forearms get bigger, your quads get bigger.
Those are some quite aesthetic features. I mean, people always doing all those shrugs in the gym after some big traps. Just go do some weightlifting.
There's
your hands, your thumbs.
You get aches and pains in places that you probably don't normally get, whether they're worth it or not. But
Andy, in terms of like experience you've had then, when it comes to people training for whether it be football or any other sport that you've been sort of heavily involved with, how do you find that you can orchestrate a program to best give them both a performance boost as well as get them to look sexy?
I think Katey's right when it comes to like if you're getting into weightlifting, it's generally because you want to learn weightlifting. But I think the specifics come when the phase of which they're in. So if they're getting near a comp, your weight matters, your physique matters. You might change things up a little bit. But like with field-based athletes or court-based or whatever it is, I think it's based on what time of the year they come and see you, and then that's where you would emphasize certain things. But introducing weightlifting to like a footballer, let's say, I just think you just use some of the derivatives around it. You might not work from the floor. And you would just use that, really. But it's definitely beneficial.
I guess it's where people's priorities sit as well. So if their priority is getting lean, because they're going on holiday in like 6 weeks' time, then probably best not to try and start weightlifting and working on like the technicalities of that, or getting really good at your football, or you going through your football season because
but I think sometimes it's based on the constraints on the institution you're working for. So like if you've got a long-term program and they come in, you have to follow what they've given you, whereas the luxury we have is they come in, it's up to you. What do you want to do with them? There's a lot more room to play with it.
I think the tricky thing with a sport like weightlifting specifically is it's seen as, because there are barbells, because there are plates, people view it as a form of being in the gym when it is a sport in itself. So therefore you need to look at it in a very different light. I don't know if you get that a lot, Katey.
There's a lot of people I coach and a lot of people who come to the gym to learn the weightlifting who aren't necessarily interested in it as a sport, but just like the challenge of trying to get a barbell over their head and then drop into a squat. You very rarely get people who want to compete. Even though I'm trying to twist that arm.
You talked about pushy parents.
But that's like me. I come not because I want to compete. I come because I then start thinking about all the constraints of different positions and like I don't no longer think about reps and sets.
It's so nice to learn. It's so nice to learn something.
Like when you're writing them all day, counting them. Like I don't want to go in the gym and go, right, I've got to get four sets of this. I just want to move.
Just move.
So Katey, I'm going to give you a little bit of a flex now, based on a conversation we were, not a literal flex, I'm going to flex for you. Flashes the biceps to the camera. So having spoken to you, you've trained with a few Olympians, so what was it, Zoe Smith and Emily Muscat. So Zoe specifically holding 4 British clean jerk records, and what was it, Emily Muscat is an Olympian obviously and a gold medalist at the Commonwealth Games. And as well, we were talking about obviously Nat being a big fan of Daniel Craig as well. You've trained with Daniel Craig's stunt double as well. From being in the gym with those sorts of people, how does their approach, mentality, training style, does any of that sort of differ from an average everyday gym goer? And how would you sort of articulate that?
So the girls and that other client, totally different, I suppose, goals.
Yeah, of course.
And you could argue that was his job to be in shape. Now he used weightlifting just as an outlet.
Yeah.
And the girls, while they're at the level they're at, it was still it wasn't their full-time job.
Yeah.
They didn't have the luxury. Not that they weren't good enough. They just there wasn't the support there. I don't think.
Yeah.
Both. I'm trying to think. It's been a while, but when I first trained with them, it was in their gym at Europa. It's like this famous weightlifting gym in Kent. Tiny. It's right the size of this room. There's mirrors everywhere, and you go in there and you just get stuck in. And I can remember my first day going there. I rocked up with my program that I had. It was like, I don't know, a set of snatch balance and then some power snatches. And Andy Callard, who's the head coach, was like, "Are you going to jump in with us today?" And I'm so glad I said yes, because if I had said no and did my own program, it would have been so embarrassing. So I was like, yeah, of course, jump in with you guys. And I left and I just thought, oh my God, now I know why those girls are so strong, and why they're so good. It was just...
What were you put
so
through?
Intense. It was volume, that's the thing with Europa. It's like it's just volume of work. And I left and I was buzzing. I was like, oh my God, if I did that every week, I'd be so strong. But there's only very few people who can sustain that volume. And now, knowing what I know, would I do that? Would I coach that? Probably not. But it was
takes a special
it was very cool to experience. And the girls were just they've been at it since they were I think Emily's been at it now. She's retired, but I think she's been at it for like 12 years maybe. And same with Zoe, they've been there since they were young girls. And to think that that's the work probably that they've been doing for that long a time. They're just and to be still standing and in shape. It's quite phenomenal.
You see a lot of professional athletes, like as soon as they retire, boom, out comes the belly.
Yeah, what's mad? Like that guy that you mentioned, he's super famous in that circle.
Yeah.
And like we were talking in our previous episodes or whatever about influencers and coaches and all these famous people. It's like all the best strength coaches, no one knows who they are, they just know who their athletes are.
Yeah.
Whereas in our field, it's the other way around. No one's training anyone, you've just got all these followers, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
So this is the point of the podcast I'd usually do Max's mediation, where I try and explain a game to Andy, he says something inappropriate, and then we move on. But I thought I would mix it up slightly this week and do a little game where we're all included and we can all make some slight judgments about what we're all like as people. So I thought we'd play a little game of things you would find ... And I'm going to say a location and you're going to tell me something you would find in that place. The first person that can't name something, boom, you're lost. Okay. You're done. Exactly. So we're going to go around a little circle. So for instance, we will start off with things you would find in Katey's weightlifting class. And I'll say barbells.
I thought you were going to say banter, because there's so much of that flying around.
Banter. There you go. That could be yours, Katey. There we go.
Okay.
We've got banter barbells. That's a quality advert already.
Weight plates.
There we go.
Bells.
Bell.
Katey.
Should we keep going?
No. I'm saying Katey is in like you would be in your weightlifting class. It'd be a surprise if you weren't. Yeah, there you go. That's my answer.
Do I keep going? I don't get that.
It's not me this week.
No.
She's the new Andy. I was like, you keep going until someone can't name something you'd find in that place.
Right. Okay. Weightlifters.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Not wrong.
Very good. Weightlifting shoes.
Nice.
Olives.
Flashy ones.
Olives.
Olives. Why olives?
Had to be there, mate. You went clubbing.
Oh, I didn't go. First of all, I didn't go clubbing. And secondly, why were there olives in a weightlifting class?
Yeah.
In joke?
Snacks.
And it weren't me.
Just something I don't know. Rags.
Haribo straws.
I feel like we're getting really niche now. Is that an essential in every class, Haribo straws?
Yep.
You have to come back.
I will. Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, I've got one. Not Max.
I don't go to one class and I'm getting
Or
abused.
hang on, not Gymshark.
The only way Max is like Batman.
Elico. He
Oh,
doesn't know what it is.
Elico?
He doesn't.
Don't worry. At Locker 27, it's got to be quality tunes.
Oof.
There's some absolute bangers.
Is that in the weightlifting class or is that in the gym?
It's in the weightlifting. You know, screw it. Okay, fine. I'll lose that. There you go. I'll take it. All right. Next one. Things you would find. Nat, you can start in Andy's barbecue or around Andy's barbecue.
Coal. Charcoal.
Not tofu. What would I find in my barbecue?
Yeah, in or around, or just when you've got a barbecue, name something. Got a picture.
Fire.
Yeah, that'd be.
Have you been to one of these barbecues?
I've not. No, he's not invited me.
Okay.
I think it's because he's racist against vegans.
Yeah.
So
it would melt.
So that may rule out my next answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say meat. I'm gonna take that off all off the table. There you go.
I was gonna say halloumi, but
That's on
Yes.
Of course that's on there.
That's vegetarian. It's not vegan. It's cheese. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Nat.
Pita bread.
No. Oregano.
Beer.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of beer.
On the barbecue.
Not on the barbecue.
No,
I
but
said
around.
in or around.
Okay.
I was like, you will be holding a beer whilst you are barbecuing. That's a scientific fact.
I'm gonna say, I don't know if I'm saying this right. Tzatziki.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Gonna make everyone hungry.
Sanzigi.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Sanzigi.
Fancy. I always
She
get
says, how do you say it?
tzatziki.
That's how I say it.
No,
I thought
Sanzig.
that's how. Yeah.
San.
Okay.
Fancy.
Oh well. Nat, what's your answer?
Tea towel on the shoulder.
Yes,
Oh,
my
nice.
friend. Trauskia.
Oh, hello.
A tea towel on the shoulder. Always. No, you've got a tea towel. No, you've got a tea towel.
Have you got a really sweaty shoulder or?
No, you just.
No, he does his thing, then wipes his hand on the tea towel and then goes, like, whips it on the back on his shoulder.
Just shake off the crumbs or the.
And then it's just like
Get rid of
rests
the
on his shoulder the
Get
whole
rid of the
time.
mosquitoes.
Lovely.
Like for the rest of the evening.
Andy, what else is on your barbecue?
Lemon.
Lemon. Oh, right, we're getting a bit niche now. Tongs. Yeah.
Tongs?
I'll go bare hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tongs. Yeah,
Bare
you've
hands.
got to have a
He
pair
doesn't
of-
have
of course he
tongs.
does. He's
Bare hands.
so manly.
Rock salt.
Ooh. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, lots
Yeah,
of
Malden.
lots of
Malden.
minerals in
Love
there.
and sea salt
Malden.
rocks.
Don't be afraid of salt, people. It's got some good stuff in there. Magnesium. All that goodness.
Sliders. Socks and sliders.
Oh, disgusting.
Now we're talking. Sweat. So you marinate the chicken.
Olive oil.
Rub it under your armpit.
Sweat.
Olive oil.
Elbow grease.
There you go.
Skewers.
Yeah. This could go on for a
This
while.
could go for a while. Nat, do you want to pack it in there? Have you got anything else?
Okay. Sphera FM.
No, that doesn't happen. That does not
Does it
happen.
not?
No.
All right.
Stream on Spotify.
Obviously.
He normally has some tunes
Spotify.
going.
I tell you what, you could listen
But I
to
said
if you've
that
got
already.
Spotify. Is the More Than Muscle podcast, and or Apple Podcasts if that's
We'll do
what
an
you
episode on barbecues.
listen. Yeah, I think we should.
Oh,
at some
that
point.
would be heated.
Oh god, I can hear listeners cringing everywhere. Things you'd find in Nat's car.
Shit.
I'm gonna say dog hair. Shit and dog hair.
Shit.
Katie, what's
All the shit. Postcodes. Wrong ones.
Coffee cups.
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My lollipop sticks. Ice lollipop sticks.
Fake nails.
No.
I don't have fake nails.
Yeah, not anymore. They're on the fucking carpet, the floor.
Once.
I'll bow out now. I'm not. I don't want to cast any more dispersions on dead bodies in the trunk.
Yeah.
Lastly, what might you find in my flat, Nat? You can.
Okay, incense sticks.
Why?
Incense sticks.
Yeah,
how
I
is that the
just
first
knew
thing?
it.
Basketball.
Because we were talking about that yesterday.
Basketball. There you go. Truckloads of food.
Vegan stuff. Vegan things.
A live cow in the garden.
Vegan things.
A plant.
Some soil. I actually sleep in the soil.
Some iron supplements.
Yeah. How do you think I grew so big and strong?
Supplement.
B12. I'm joking.
So hemoglobin.
Oh, I'm getting violated. I regret this game.
No
Anyway.
vegans ever listen to this podcast ever.
They do because they want to hear me occasionally fight back. But I just don't. I let them have their wins. They get a laugh. It's fine.
They're laughing at our insides.
Exactly. Thank you very, very much for listening to this episode of the More Than Muscle podcast, and thank you, Katey, so much for joining us. Go check her out at Locker 27, all of her classes, all that good stuff. Katey, do you want to plug anything? Rolling out the red carpet for you now.
Yeah, come to Locker 27 if you want to do a class Monday, Wednesday with me, and I also do a hybrid class on a Friday morning at 6 a.m.
Ooh. Not for the faint-hearted.
No.
Love it.
We get a good crew in that. I don't think there's anything. Yeah.
Not on Instagram.
Yeah, she's
on
off.
Instagram.
She's off the grid, everyone.
I am. That's how I see your barbecues. I came off it for a while, but I'm back on there. But there is no banter on there. It's
That's all right. That's what you got this
coaching.
podcast for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. Contact me through there if you need to for whatever reason.
Whatever reason. There we go. Smooth. Thank you very, very much, guys.
Thank you.